Hello, my name is Doug Leasure, and I wanted to share some of my more than 10 years of experience and expertise with Active Planner. I wanted to share that with you. And in a previous video, we did the installation of Active Planner, both the network and then the client installations. That was done on this PC. And if we look at the Start menu here, if we go to All Programs, we can see that there is an Active Planner folder that was created. And in that Start menu folder, we have two shortcuts, one for Active Planner and one for the Admin tool. Today we're going to look at the Admin tool. So I'm going to launch that. And the Admin tool is something that would be used typically by the DBA or somebody in the IT department, not with the normal Active Planner users, if you will. The Admin tool is password protected, so I'm going to enter the password and click OK. And now we are in the Administrator tool. Our goal today is to create a new configuration. So I'll go to Action, New Configuration. And it says, please make sure you stop the publication service. And we'll click Yes to continue on. Okay, configuration within Active Planner is where we would be pointing to a set of databases that would house the Active Planner information. One configuration might point to the production data. Another might point to the test environment. We can also use the configuration to point to one server and another configuration to point to a different SQL server. It can also point to two different sets of databases, Active Planner databases on the same server. So we are going to create a new configuration. The other option here would be to create a new configuration with demonstration data. For our purposes today, we're just going to create a new database. So I'm going to click Next. And the first thing it asks is for the SQL server name. So I'll go ahead and enter the name of the SQL server. And then it's going to ask for an administrative user and password. So I'm going to go ahead and we just use, for us, in our case, we'll just use the SA user. So I will just enter the password for the SA account. And now we get to fill in the configuration information. So the first thing is type the name for the configuration definition, and this is what will show up in your configuration dropdown. So I'm going to type in the word training. That will be the name of this configuration. And now we're going to select a system database, a publication database, and the company database. Active Planner does use the SQL utilities or the SQL DMO, and so we have the opportunity to select from existing databases, or in our case, we're going to go ahead and use the SQL utilities to create a new database. We're going to go ahead and create a brand new name for this. This will be Act Plan, so it's just short for Active Planner. And the first database we're creating is the system database. So we just use the abbreviation SYS for system. So Active Planner System Database. You do have the option to fill in more detailed information about the transaction and transaction log and data files, as far as their location and size, etc. So of course, we'll just go ahead and use the defaults for SQL Server and let it create the Active Planner System Database. And now we'll move on to the publication database. And so in a similar way, we'll just click New, and this will be Act Plan and then PUB for publication. And let it create a new database there. And the last one is the company database. We'll click New again, Act Plan, and then COMP, short for company. And so now we've created 3 brand new databases to house our Active Planner information. Filled out this form, so let's move on to the next one. And here's where we can set up the SDA and DQA. The SDA is the user inside of that Active Planner will use as it makes its connection and log on onto the SQL server. and we can select an existing logon or create a new one. In our case, we're going to go ahead and use the SA account. Now, we're in kind of a standalone environment here, so using SA is perfectly fine. You probably would want to create a brand new one in your environment, but we'll go ahead and just use the default SA. And so we'll provide the password there, and we'll move on to the DQA. Active Planner uses the DQA, the Database Query Administrator, whenever you do database query type formulas. And this will be the user that actually performs those queries for you. And again, since we're in a standalone environment, we'll use the SA account and provide the password for that. And now we need to assign a company code. Typically, this company code is what we would use. We would use this to match the company code inside of your general ledger, the general ledger that you would be connecting to. And so for us, we'll go ahead and just use the company code train and the description training. And now when we click next, we're to the point where we're ready to actually run the setup of this configuration. We can see here the steps that it's going to take. So I'm going to click Run, and Active Planner is going to go ahead and begin to create the databases and all of the objects that it needs within those databases. And you can see all of the action taking place here in this SQL query output. Now it's finished doing all of that, and we have the opportunity to print this, save it to a file. In our case, we're going to go ahead and just close this particular report. And the last thing is the Finish button, and there we have completed the setup of our new configuration. If we right-click on this configuration, we have an opportunity to look at the properties. In here we can see that this is the database information being used. Active Plan Sys is our system database. Active Plan Comp is our company database. Active Plan Pub is our publication database. In addition, we can see that the SDA is using this logon and this password. DQA is using this logon and this password. And if ever we need to maintain the password or even switch the account being used for the SDA or DQA, this is where we can maintain this information as well. Okay, we have successfully created the configuration and created the databases that Active Planner needs.